I now hand the conference over to Ms. Shweta Daptardar from Prabhudas Lilladher. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Margaret. Welcome all to the Power Finance Corporation Limited Q4 FY20 earnings call. We have with us today Mr. R.S. Dhillon, Chairman and Managing Director, Mr. N.B. Gupta, Director of Finance, Mr. P.K. Singh, Director, Commercial and Additional Charge Projects. Without much ado, over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this conference call. I hope all of you are safe and well during this current COVID-19 situation. First of all, I take this opportunity to introduce myself as the new CMD of PFC. I have taken over from Shri Rajiv Sharma ji after his superannuation in May recently. I look forward to fruitful interaction with you all in the future. During this unprecedented situation, during the lockdown, a company-wide effort was made to continue our business as usual. I would like to start this call by talking about the actions taken by PFC to manage the COVID situation. PFC, by quickly leveraging its technological capabilities, has been able to manage all its operations remotely throughout the lockdown period. Therefore, PFC's business functions have largely remained unaffected due to the COVID-19 lockdown, and we have been able to smoothly conduct our business. This is evident from the fact that PFC has made a disbursement of rupees 11,000 crores in the last week of March 20 itself. This, in fact, is more than the disbursement made during similar period in March 19. We are ensuring business continuity by following work from home and running our offices with reduced staff. We are adhering to government guidelines on COVID-19, including social distancing. Though on lockdown there has been a general slowdown in the economy and consequently in the power sector also, but as of now, we have not seen any major impact on PFC business. Now, as the lockdown is easing and as the situation evolves, we will be monitoring the situation to assess the impact on business operations. In these tough times, the government and various regulators have been responding actively by introducing various measures to keep the economy and the businesses functioning. To ease out the cash flow constraints, RBI has allowed lending institutions, including NBFCs, to provide 6 months moratorium to its borrowers on all payments falling due between 1st of March 2020 and 31st August 2020. The Ministry of Power and MNRE have also come up with various measures to ease out the challenges being faced by various power sector entities. Some of them are reduction in late payment surcharge, waiver of fixed charges and interstate charges, ensuring must-run status to renewable energy generation facilities, etc. Further, as you may all know, the government has announced a 90,000 crores liquidity package for DISCOMs, for which PFC and REC are the key implementing agencies. I am hopeful that this will significantly improve the cash flow situation in the sector. PFC has been actively working on transmitting this benefit to its borrowers. I would like to highlight that to provide lending against PFC portion of 45,000 crores under the DISCOM credit package, PFC has already formulated a scheme for extending loans to DISCOMs. The loans will be extended for a maximum tenure of up to 10 years against the outstanding dues of DISCOM. Such lending will be on commercial terms and conditions and subject to it being backed by state government guarantee. Considering lending is with state government guarantee, it will not have an adverse impact on PFC's capital. Also, in line with RBI guidelines, PFC has provided the moratorium option to its borrowers. Till now, moratorium has been extended to approximately 70% of the dues receivable by PFC. On the liquidity standpoint, I would like to highlight that PFC's borrowing has been continuing even during the lockdown. Further, during the current FY 2021, we have been successfully able to raise close to 29,000 crores from the domestic market, majorly through a mix of bonds and term loans. Also, we have rupees 10,000 crores of line of credit available with us from banks. Further, we have around 9,500 crores term loan sanctions from banks in pipeline. Thus, going forward, I am confident that we will be able to have sufficient liquidity levels to fund our business operations. As a responsible corporate, we have tried to do our part and contributed rupees 200 crores to the PM CARES Fund. Now coming to the financial performance. In FY 1920, we have interest income of rupees 31,950 crores compared to 28,432 crores in FY 18-19. Our annual profit after tax is at rupees 5,655 crores. In this regard, I think it is pertinent to mention the impact of deferred tax asset, that is DTA, remeasurement on profit. PFC has adopted to apply reduced corporate tax rates, which was introduced in September 2019. Accordingly, corporate tax rates have been reduced to 25.17% from 34.94% effective from 1st April 2019. While with this, significant tax savings will accrue to PFC from now on, but this will also be accompanied by one-time impact of remeasurement of deferred tax assets at the lower tax rates. The impact of such DTA reassessment, remeasurement on profit is around rupees 1,133 crores. Accordingly, after excluding the DTA impact, the PAT for FY 1920 would be rupees 6,788 crores compared to the reported PAT of 5,655 crores. On our financial indicators in FY 1920, our annual yield is at 10.63% and has remained within the stable range compared to the previous year. PFC's cost of funds has also been consistently reducing. In FY 20, the cost of funds has come down by almost 16 bits to 7.79% from 7.95% in FY 19. Further, with consistent level of yield and reducing cost, the spread has also increased by 15 bits during a span of 1 year from 2.67% in FY 19 to 2.83% in FY 20. I believe that going forward, we would be able to maintain our financial indicators within this range. Another thing I would like to give an update on is PFC's CRAR. The CRAR for FY 1920 is 16.96% compared to 17.09% in FY 18-19. This sudden dip in CRAR level is due to regulatory change. The key reasons for depressed CRAR is the recent change introduced by RBI on 13th March 2020 for exclusion of any net unrealized gains on fair valuation of financial instruments from calculation of own funds under CRAR, whereas all such net losses should be considered. For FY 1920, after including fair net fair valuation gains, the CRAR would have been up by around 40 bps. Overall, despite various challenges during the year, PFC has been able to deliver a substantial financial performance this year. Now coming to the asset quality. Over the years, we have been consistently working on resolution of NPA assets and building of sufficient provision buffer. In 3 years, PFC net NPA levels have come down to 3.8% at present from 7.39% in FY 17-18. This is the lowest net NPA ratio in these 3 years. Another positive development this quarter is that we have reached resolution in RS India loan of rupees 224 crores, which is a 41 megawatt wind project. The LOI has been issued to the successful bidder and definitive agreement for resolution is under signing. We already have maintained sufficient provisioning against this project. Coming now to the resolution status of other 28 projects, currently 16 projects of rupees 16,138 crores have been resolved through NCLT and the remaining 12 projects of rupees 11,511 crores are being resolved outside NCLT. Further, out of these projects, I would like to give an update on the 6 projects which were near to resolution prior to COVID lockdown and details of which have been shared in the last earnings call for quarter 3. The 3 projects worth rupees 6,578 crores which have been resolved outside NCLT, that is RKM Power Gen rupees 5,207 crores, India Power Haldia rupees 959 crores and SR Transmission rupees 412 crores. The resolution has been approved by the lenders. In 3 projects of rupees 2,518 which are being resolved through NCLT, that is in Bharat Utkal rupees 1,368 crores and Jhabua Power rupees 764 crores and also Jal Power rupees 386 crores. Successful bidders in NCLT have been identified or is under finalization. Resolution of these 6 projects is expected to improve the NPA levels going forward. Although due to COVID situation, the resolution process has slowed down a bit, but I can assure you we are making all possible efforts to resolve them at the earliest. We are hopeful that we would be able to reach resolution in some of the above mentioned projects in the coming months. Moving on to the borrowing portfolio front. In FY 2021, as of now, as per the approved borrowing program, rupees 90,000 crores of fund mobilization is envisaged from domestic and international markets. So far, PFC has raised close to 29,000 crores from domestic market since April 2020. In addition, rupees 9,500 crores term loan sanctions from banks are currently in pipeline. Further, close to 50% of the annual debt servicing obligations have already been met. Also, in this regard to raising, I would like to mention that we are actively focusing on increasing our funding under 54 EC coupon capital bonds, which have a low coupon of 5.75%. In just 3 years, 54 EC raising has more than tripled from rupees 292 crores in FY 17-18 to 1,134 crores in FY 19-20. Further, I would like to highlight that PFC over the past few years has been strategically focusing on balancing its assets and liabilities portfolio by extending loans for shorter duration and focusing on borrowing for long term. As a result, the gap between weighted average maturity of assets and liability has reduced significantly from 2.39 years in FY 17-18 to 1.4 years in FY 19-20. On the international raising front, PFC in FY 19-20 has raised $3.05 million from the foreign markets. Thus, with our dedicated focus on diversification, the foreign currency portfolio now comprises 16% of our borrowing portfolio. Further, considering the risk arising out of the increasing foreign currency portfolio, PFC is also actively focusing on hedging its foreign borrowings portfolio. If we see, PFC has already has 66% of the exchange risk for portfolio with residual maturity of up to 5 years. Thus, we are consistently focusing on protecting our balance sheet from such foreign currency fluctuations. Now, lastly, on the way forward, given the dynamic COVID-19 situation, we would be able to share a clearer picture of our FY 2021 plan as the situation evolves. However, considering the present situation, PFC is expecting to maintain its loan asset growth at similar levels as last year's. Accordingly, to sustain its growth level, PFC is expecting to cross last year's disbursement levels during FY 2021. Also, considering that new lending opportunities would be limited in view of the COVID-19 situation, the 90,000 crores DISCOM credit package is a good business opportunity for PFC to maintain its loan asset growth. In addition to this, our focus would continue to be on renewable business. Now we are open to questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Rahul Marathe from ICICI Prudential Pension Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for taking my question. So you mentioned that we have a borrowing approved plan of 90,000 crores. So does this include the 45,000 crores of DISCOM package?
See, this 90,000 is the original plan.
Yeah.
Now we have to borrow slightly more on the basis of this liquidity package which has been announced by the Government of India, and some sort of moratorium also.
How would it be, the mix would be in terms of bonds and bank borrowings?
See, it depends on the market conditions. See, we just monitor all the instruments available, and wherever we find it is cheaper for me, we just mobilize it. But so far, the maximum amount has been mobilized through bonds only.
So the 29,000 crores which we raised in Q1 was through bonds?
Not 100%, around 80% is through bonds.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dhaval Kara from DSP Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity. I just had a couple of questions. First, on slide 17, you've given an update on the resolution plan. I just wanted to check, during the quarter, have we seen any upgrade or any recovery?
See, so in this quarter, the RBI has declared on after 28th February, we have to keep all the standstill. So we can't change that status of loan after 20th of February. So there is no change
Right.
after 28th February. Whatever the senior there on 28th, it is same.
So no upgrade or no recovery has happened before 28th February during the quarter, between Jan and Feb, nothing.
Last year, we have resolved 2 or 3 cases. One was Ratan India, second was GMH Chhattisgarh, and third was Konkan LNG Private Limited. These 3 projects we settled last year. And that there were few cases we were in verge of settlement, but due to this COVID situation, it could not be done, which we expect that after some time should be possible.
Understood. Sir, the second question that I had was, if you could just break down the loan composition that is given on slide 19, on the generation side of the 2 lakh crore conventional generation, how much is government and how much is private? And similarly, if you could break for the renewable energy as well, 19,411 crores, how much is government and private? That would be quite useful.
See, as we mentioned in one of the slides, out of total loan book, around 83% to the government and 17% to the private sector.
Right, and that mix would be true for even this. The 2 lakh crore also would be split 83-70.
Generation 2 lakh breakup between private and renewable. Most of it is in the private sector.
In renewable, most of the funding is to private, and generation, it is a mix.
But majority to the government sector only.
Okay. Sir, any approximations on 2 lakh crore generation? Approximately how much would be government?
See, as we mentioned, the renewable is mainly in the private sector. When we talk about 83% overall, so you may say 86, 87 to the government and rest to the private sector. See?
Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hardik Shah from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for having me. Just 2 questions. What is the run rate of collections during these 3-4 months?
See, as we said, the 70% had to opt for moratorium. So the 30% we have realized in cash, and to rest we have given the moratorium.
But aren't anybody in the moratorium paying anything, or they?
See, either they will opt or they will pay. We said 30% have paid and 70% opted for the moratorium.
Okay, understood. And secondly, sir, any update or progress on the relaxation of group norms for you guys?
We have already taken up with the RBI, and we are waiting. We are very hopeful that we'll get some positive from RBI.
Okay. And lastly, one question. So over the years now, thermal capex is expected to go down. So which are the other growth opportunities other than the discom segment which you would be looking to lend to?
See, as we have mentioned that already the renewable is a good chunk we are getting the renewables. A lot of refinancing proposal we are getting. Of course, discoms and this transmission is there. Then we are diversifying like smart city and all this we have been diversifying. So I don't think there is any issue as far as the disbursement and loan growth is concerned.
The state generating companies and also other private thermal area, they have the revised environmental norms, so they have to install FGD, etc. So that business we will be looking at, and the refinancing of commissioned assets. And then with respect to forward and backward linkage, we are looking at coal mining, then energy storage, and also charging infrastructure, the sewage treatment plants, and the waste to energy also.
Okay, sir. Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mahesh Shah from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hi. You mentioned that you would have some increase in your borrowing program from FY21. Can you just give color as to how much that would be out of the about 80,000 crores?
Increase in borrowing plan. Can you please
We had a program of 90,000 crores.
Yeah.
Even though that government has announced around 45,000 crores to discoms under special package, but we feel that our routine disbursement, it may slow down due to this COVID situation because that construction progress in the different sites. So last year we made a disbursement around 67,000. Definitely it will be more than last time. But exact figure is very difficult to say right now because you know that COVID is happening and how it will move ahead is very difficult to say right now. But we are expecting that at least we'll have the same growth what we had last time and better than that one.
Okay. And in terms of, like, when will you decide what the borrowing program would be like and how much maturities do you have during this year?
As we mentioned that generally my maturity was front loaded and we have already 50% is already mature. So that's why what we have borrowed 29,000 plus 9,000 pipeline, major chunk has gone for the servicing only.
Okay. Second, coming to your CRAR ratio, so given that these state guarantees will be there on the new loans, will that have any risk weight? Like, how does the risk weight work during that in those loans?
This 45,000 will be granted by the government, so it will carry a risk weightage of 20% only.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nirmal Gandhi from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask you two questions. One is whether we have a separate NPA policy for the loans we give to government companies, or we follow the same policy for all the disbursements.
Private and government.
We for both private and state sector, we have the same NPA policy.
So if any state-owned discom is not paid money on within the 90-day period, it is classified as NPA, and accordingly provisions are being made.
Right. See, but none of the case they have crossed this 90 days so far. So all my state government, they are either in stage 1 or 2.
Okay. So second thing I wanted to ask you is that, say, there will be many of the companies who will be borrowing every year from you. The same companies, it is possible that they have borrowed in 2017, 18, 18, 19 and 19, 20. So how do you ensure that they are not borrowing money just for repayment of our loan?
No, we are making disbursement. We are sanctioning loans for a particular project. So only after there is implementation in that project, we are disbursing funds.
See, our main funding is for project funding, project assets creation. No? So there is no question of duplicacy of the payment or anything.
And sometimes we are making direct payment to suppliers also on the request of our borrowers, and which are certified by them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ishan Kumar from UBS Securities India Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thanks for this opportunity. The first question I want to ask is on spread side. We saw spread improvement this quarter because cost of funds came down. But given that interest rates are coming down and banks are cutting rates, what is the outlook on spread going forward? In the past, we have seen some margin pressure in a declining interest rate scenario. So can you comment on that?
Yes, you know that there is a declining scenario right now, and that we are also getting a benefit of the low rate of interest. But of course, then we have to look at the overall scenario. If this continues, that we may have to pass on to the states also, that my borrower also to some extent.
Right. But sir, so in the
we are hopeful that this whatever that spread we are earning right now, will continue to earn that around that only.
Okay. We also had discussions with Ministry of Finance for creating extra windows for adding up to the liquidity, and we have requested for the consideration of repo-linked borrowing facilities and also long-term facilities with respect to LIC, EPFOs, etc.
Okay. But
we
do you have
requested Ministry of Finance for this.
Okay. But given the fact that almost like 45,000 crore we will disburse this year at lower spread, do you have any spread target in mind for FY21 or any view there?
See, that's 45,000. So far, for 10 years, we have decided the rate of interest of 9.50. And considering the market scenario today, you can just work out that what is the spread we are running on that.
Okay. Understood. Second question, sir, was on asset quality. So we have seen some increase in gross NPA this quarter of around slightly more than 400 crores. So can you explain that, please?
You are not audible.
See, if we talk about this quarter, is a very small increase of stage 3, that is 107 crores only. This is due to that deferred payment guarantee which we have given in one of the projects, and that on metallization we have made a payment of around 100 crores. That is the only case. There is no addition, nothing.
Thank you. I would request Mr. Kumar to rejoin the queue for follow-up questions. We would also request participants to please limit your question to 2 at a time. The next question is from the line of Anand Ladha from HDFC Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Sir, just wanted to understand, you indicated that there is a change in RBI norms for calculating the capital adequacy. If you can highlight what is the change and what is the impact of the same on our Tier 1 capital?
See, that derivatives, that mark to market, when which we use fair valuation, which we used to take, that was a part of my net worth. Okay. Now they said that this is not to be considered as a part of net worth. This has impacted around 950 crores in my net worth and impacted that ratio around 40 basis points. Otherwise, this would have been 17.35 compared to 17.05 last year.
Okay. So this 950 crore of fair value change, which is impacting the net worth, is it the mark-to-market loss on currency, or is it the mark-to-market loss on the hedge position we have taken?
It is only a hedge position. It is a gain. It is not a loss. It is a gain. Okay. And this is on the derivatives which we have taken.
Hedged position.
Okay. So earlier this used to be part of our net worth. Now it is not part of our net worth.
Yes.
Okay. Fine. And sir, we indicated in a presentation some 9,000 crore of NPA asset are likely to get resolved in coming quarters. If you can give some color, sir, how much is the provision we have made on this exposure? Is there any reversal of provision can happen post resolution of this asset?
See, as we mentioned that this is in the final stage, and we have made a sufficient provisions, and more or less because when we work out ECL, it is on the basis of expected loss. So we have made a more or less provision which is required to settle all this loan.
Okay. So there is no expectation of any reversal of provision as this asset get resolved.
Yes.
Okay. And sir, currently is this 9,000 crore of asset paying any interest to us?
No, that is not earning interest.
Okay. So assuming they get resolved at 50% LGD, so on 4,500 crore we will start earning interest.
Definitely.
Okay. And sir, there are 16 more assets we indicated which are into different stages of NCLT. If you can give some color like where they are, and I also understand that Ratan Amravati has got resolved. If you can give some color on the status of Ratan India Nasik plant.
Ratan India is already resolved.
Nothing. Ratan India Nasik, there was a lenders meet on 17 June, and basically it was with respect to operationalizing the PPA which was there from from Maharashtra of 507 megawatts. So that is to be revived, and we have to, as the banks have to provide working capital for running the plant and for giving the BG for the this PPA to be signed. The PPA is yet to be signed. Okay. So post this resolution, this plant is likely to get this stress is likely to get resolved, sir? So we see that if the PPA is revived, then there is chances of the project, the 2 units running, and then the way forward will be that for other PPAs will also be available, and then the project will be able to revive. But unless this PPA is revived and the working capital is not given by the lenders, there will be a challenge.
Thank you. I would request Mr. Ladha to rejoin the queue for follow-up questions. The next question is from the line of Kunal Shah from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So two questions. Firstly, in terms of the incremental watch list, which, if any, we have due to COVID disruption, wherein maybe there are no PPA issues, but maybe because of some liquidity or non-payment of DISCOM, we are closely monitoring them.
So under this 90,000 crores package, the DISCOMs will get loan from us, and they will discharge the liabilities with respect to the renewable energy plants and also for IPPs, and with respect to the central power generating companies and transport also. So this will help in paying for the dues, the pending dues for the generators.
Okay. And even this moratorium would come down once we release this transitional finance?
Which moratorium?
No, I don't think so. That is for payment of their dues, no? So this will not bring down that moratorium.
Sorry, it will not?
It will not bring, because that moratorium will continue, and they are not going to pay that moratorium, whatever the amount they have taken a moratorium, they are not going to pay.
Okay. And what is the
moratorium will continue.
Okay. And what is the status on TRN Energy?
TNR, this only one unit, actually both the units were not running. Now one of the unit has come online. So, and there is a payment which is to be made from UP against the project.
No, but it is standard for us.
But it is standard. Stage 2. It is stage 2.
It is stage 2.
Okay, it is in stage 2 for us. And we have how much of exposure?
We have 1,146.
Okay, 1,146. Okay, and lastly, in terms of, I don't know if you share in the opening remarks, but what is the status on this transitional finance? How much have been sanctioned? What can we expect in terms of disbursements in the next 3 months? I just missed those opening comments, yeah.
So we have received proposals worth 14,000 crores, and we are under processing that, and different DISCOMs have shown interest, and around 69,000 crores interest has been shown.
So this 14,000 is our share, or put together both all tranches and both PFCs and RECs?
This is the total amount, including PFC, REC, Tranche 1, Tranche 2, both.
Okay, so we have 14,000 proposals.
Right.
And 69,000 is the interest.
Including this 14.
Including this 14.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anirban Sarkar from Principal Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Just one question. You mentioned that 70% has opted for moratorium. That number of customers or percentage of total book?
Amount due.
Amount due.
Oh, amount due. Second question is, sir, what's your NPA recognition policy? I mean, is it the same as, is it on 90 DPD, or what is the recognition?
Because after 90 days, we classify as stage 3, and we don't account for any income on stage 3 assets.
Okay, so this 7.39, I think you mentioned your NPA is, so that's the total 90 DPD book.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hiren Shah from Invesco Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you so much for your time and taking my questions. I have two questions. The first one was, can you just give some color on the movement in the stage 2 bucket? And the second question was on the funding side. So, you highlighted that the borrowing program in terms of, what you're going to borrow from, like bank, etc., is largely dependent upon the market conditions. To what extent, do you have restrictions in terms of the various buckets, like be it like foreign currency or domestic, or even within domestic between bonds, loans, etc.? That will be useful.
See, as far as the foreign currency is concerned, there is a limit prescribed by RBI that is under automatic route. Beyond that, we have to go to RBI and take a specific approval. But as far as internal mechanism is concerned, there is no limit, and the way just we are seeking the cheapest borrowing available to us, and wherever we get the cheaper, we just borrow it. Maybe domestic, bonds, term loan, foreign currency.
Okay. And sorry, the other question was on the
Stage 2.
Yeah.
See, stage 2, we have around 32,000 crores in stage 2. And the major part is state government. Because two states due to this COVID, they could not make a payment to us, and that has shifted to stage 2. But after that March, we have got a major, around 90% payment we have received, and this will be out from stage 2 in the next quarter.
Okay. And if you exclude that, has there been anything from the private side which is increased in stage 2?
See, private, there is only 2 or 3 parties. One we have already mentioned, TRN. And there is one, I don't know whether I should name that or not. There is one Metra, there is a small amount which has, because Andhra is not making payment to them, which has come to the category of stage 2. But we are sure that once we release the payment to DISCOMs, again this will be out from stage 2.
Right. And so, just to confirm, like if you exclude those 2 state government loans, then there hasn't been much movement in stage 2, basically.
Yeah, because there is one more private sector which I can't disclose due to that court restrictions, and that has also moved to stage 2, and is around 1,000 crore. Okay. Rest of this, and there is no other private sector, which is in stage 2.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We would request participants to please limit your question to one at a time, as there are several participants waiting for their turn as well. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Puneet Srivastava from Daiwa Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. So regarding the moratorium, you said that 70% of the dues are under moratorium. So will it be possible to quantify on a loan book basis how much it will be?
Sir, because we have a loan book of 3.5 lakh crore, and that moratorium we have given to around 20,000 only. So you can work out it may be around 8%.
So on a dues basis it is 70%, but on a loan basis it will be only 20,000 crores because the others might be in various stage of funding. That's why maybe. And so this 20,000 crore is mostly for DISCOM.
It is a mix, no. I can't say DISCOM. It is maybe some genetic companies also, private sector also.
Okay.
So I don't have right now the breakup of that mix up, no.
Right. And so would you require any kind of funding for this moratorium, especially if they go up going ahead, or you think that there is no need for any additional funding in terms of asset liability requirement?
See, as far as asset liabilities are concerned, in RBI they opened one LTRO scheme, no? So we got a good amount in LTRO, which was open only for this moratorium. And otherwise also there is enough liquid in the market, enough liquidity in the market. So we don't foresee that any problem in raising the funds.
Right, sir. And so this provisioning amount during the quarter, can you give a breakup? Like, was this largely because of the aging of the NPAs?
Aging?
I mean, in terms of the tenure of the NPLs rising, so that's why you have done higher provisioning during the quarter, because there was no NPLs measure.
We work out this provisioning on the basis of ECL model, not on the basis of time frame.
Right. Okay. And so can you quantify the total loans guaranteed by the state government in your portfolio?
State government. It is around 2,87,000 crores.
No, I mean, so the state government guaranteed loans.
Sir, see, total government is 2,87,000, and you can consider roughly 22% is granted by the government of India. So the government of states, state government.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'll come back on the queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mahrukh Adajania from Elara. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello, sir. For the Lanco Group projects, what is the status? Has any of them been resolved?
No, it is in NCLT at the moment.
This was admitted. We have one project, exposure to one project of Lanco Amarkantak, and that was admitted in NCLT in September 2019, and the RFP has been issued, and the resolution plan is been requested till 15th of July. We have received a EOI from 11 interested parties.
Got it. And sir, just one more follow-up question that in the Jaiprakash Group, what are the exposures that you have and what is the status?
We don't have any exposure in Jaiprakash Group.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jaiprakash Paisani from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. Thank you for taking my question. I have two questions. What would be the target for dollar bond raising for this year? Last year you said 3 billion was raised. And second one is, are there any stage 3 renewable assets currently in the NPLs?
Renewable. It is very small amount of 10 to 15 crores only. That is in the stage 3, but mainly is on the private generation side, on the generation transmission side. And there is no renewable only one, but for one project only.
Okay.
And that RS India, we were able to, that was a renewable project that we were able to resolve.
And any target for the dollar bonds for this year?
We are just watching the market, and at the appropriate time, definitely we'll launch this international market, MTM.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Puneet Srivastava from Daiwa Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Thank you for the opportunity again. Sir, I have a question with the new CMD. Which we will be interested to know, like, what kind of opportunities you are seeing as a new CMD here in the organization, and what kind of challenges you see going ahead. A very broad perspective, if you can give, please.
So, PFC is a big organization, and I would like to continue with the same policies as was being done earlier. So, and with respect to the growth, as I had already indicated, we are looking for new opportunities with respect to charging infrastructure, and then refinancing new projects, getting good borrowers in our portfolio, and environmental guidelines have to be implemented. So with respect to that, we would like to fund these FGDs and other environmental things. And we also looking for funding of e-vehicles. So these are the new opportunities, and waste to energy also we would like to do. And with respect to solar manufacturing also, we have received some applications, and we are seeing whether we can fund these projects.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And so just one more question, if I can chip in. So going ahead, because COVID-related impact, is it possible for you to give some guidance on the provisions in FY21 or the credit cost? How do you see that, given that possibly the haircuts going ahead, do you think will be higher than what was anticipated? And in that context, do you see a higher credit cost this year?
So this NPA resolution has been, stress asset resolution has been delayed, but going forward we see that we should able to get whatever we were getting earlier, we should be able to get going forward also.
And I would like to add here is that we are following ECL methodology, that is expected credit loss, and that we review on quarterly basis. Whenever we make quarterly accounts, so that any expected loss we provide in the account itself in that quarter.
Right. And sir, one last question, if I may ask. So this again, this question on merger with REC, if any update is there, and irrespective of the merger, what kind of opportunities you see, sir, going ahead along with REC, if anything new to.
So with respect to mergers, we had submitted a report by Deloitte to the Ministry of Power, and that is being looked at by them. And for making the synergies feasible, we are interacting with REC to have common policies and credit, whatever credit policies we have, to align them. With respect to rating also, we have indicated to REC also that we should have the same rating methodology with respect to the state sector. So that things we are taking forward.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prakhar Agarwal from Edelweiss. Please go ahead. Prakhar Agarwal from Edelweiss. Your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead with your question. May we request you to unmute yourself from your handset and ask your question. Due to no response, we will move to the next question. The next question is from the line of Sandeep Alamraju from L&T Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thank you. My query was also on this merger status. So while you gave some insights on that, specifically what timelines are you looking at? What would government's take be? Because somewhere I had read that you're looking at Q1 FY21 as the timeline. So there any challenges that you foresee? Just a bit more color on that, sir.
So we cannot tell any time frame as of now with respect to the merger because it is a Government of India decision.
Okay. Okay, but just in terms of progress, anything that we are...
So as I told you, to bring in synergies, we are in dialogue with REC for aligning our policies, aligning our rating methodology, and whatever we would like to align. And with respect to the projects also, we are seeing that how we can cooperate and fund projects.
Okay.
Borrowing also we are interacting with them so that we see that the borrowing is also coordinated in a better way.
Okay. Okay. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chirag Sureka from DSP Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. You, in the start, you mentioned that 66% of your foreign borrowings are hedged. Is it because you hedge only up to 5 years? Did I get that right?
Not necessarily, but prefer to hedge only those loans which has a remaining maturity of 5 years. Because if you see the market for hedging for the long duration is not good appetite in the market. So generally prefer for only those loans which has a remaining maturity of 5 years or less.
Okay, sir. And one more question. On the international rating agencies have highlighted that the capital adequacy is on the lower side.
So is there any thought process or on the capital raising front?
See, there, as far as capital adequacy is concerned, why only equity? There are other options available to us, like we can raise that perpetual bond also. So if at appropriate time we feel that there is a requirement of further capital, we'll explore that option.
Okay, sir. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Shweta Daptardar for closing comments.
Thank you. On behalf of Prabhudas Lilladher, I thank the management of PFC. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Prabhudas Lilladher Private Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.